Hey everyone, it's Piranha Z06 coming to you from my downtown condo man cave, and I've got a big list of changes to the rig that I've made, one major and a lot of small ones, so let me show you. Okay, so the most obvious change you're going to notice first is all of the red trim. So I have considered doing this for quite a while, decided to go ahead and do it since I had to order something from an 80/20 vendor anyway, so went ahead and did it, and I think it came out pretty good. I like it. Everything's black and red pretty much anyway, so it just adds to the look, and I think it gives it a nice finished look. I also bought a lot of replacement end caps that I didn't have, like for here, these little ones here, just some that I was missing, places that were uncovered, again, just to give it a final professional look to everything. So that's the most obvious. You may have also, anybody who keeps up with the channel may say that they didn't remember the curved monitors, and so that is the second big thing. That's the big major upgrade. This update is I upgraded my 6 or 7 year old monitors, which were just 1080p 60 hertz monitors, and I upgraded to, these are ASUS TUF Gaming VG32VQ, and they are 32-inch curved monitors, 2560 by 1440 resolution with 144 hertz refresh rate, and the curvature is an 1800R. I considered trying to find something with a tighter curvature to give it more of a actual circle feeling, but I think this works out pretty well. It gives me 178 degrees of visibility to iRacing when my seat is pulled up, and so that's pretty much all I could ask for. I mean, 2 degrees is nothing. So in order to get these on here, I went ahead and took the opportunity to widen the monitor legs, which are those right here on each side. I had not done that previously when I had done a change to the rig, and I regretted it just because the motion of, so these posts here are part of the part that moves, and so what I had done is I had just pushed the monitor stand further back so that they didn't interfere, but I decided to go ahead and widen them so that I could bring the monitors closer, so that I could be more, feeling of immersion. So went ahead and did that, and I think I had to raise the monitor cross member at the back just a little bit in order to clear everything with the motion. So yeah, so I did all that. One thing, since I'm back here, I found, so I don't know that I've mentioned it on here when I have the Quest 2, but it has some power issues in that even when it's plugged in and used with the link cable and iRacing, it only lasts for about 4.5 hours, because yes, the link cable provides power, but not enough to keep it fully charged while you're playing. I guess there are some weird scenarios where people have certain USB ports on their PC that it does, but I didn't. I even bought a powered USB card, USB 3.0 card, and I got, over 2, whatever it is, gigahertz of data feed, but still wasn't enough power to keep it charged. I lasted about 4.5 hours one time, which you would think is enough, but I do endurance racing with teams sometimes, and you're in the car sometimes, not in the car, but you're with the team for more than that sometimes. So it almost bit me one time. I switched it out to a battery situation, which I can do wirelessly. It's not as trustworthy, but I had done that, and but I didn't need to, and the race was about 4.5 hours because I got the low battery notification and it was getting close to dying, and I couldn't remember if the notification, and it doesn't tell you when you're in VR, if it was 25% or 10%, I couldn't remember. So I took the opportunity, next pit stop, to change over to the battery situation. I lost a little time, and don't want that to happen again. So anyway, there is a link cable now, which I have replaced. It looks just like any other link cable, except on the back end, I'll show you when I get around there, it has a built-in, basically a little PC board with some smart technology and a plug that you plug into a power source. So it provides enough power while you're playing to keep it totally charged. Now I haven't tested this completely yet and let it go down and make sure it doesn't die, but from all reports that's what it does. So I picked that up on the Amazon sale they just had going on, the early access sale, for like 18 bucks. So I think that was a bargain. Even if it doesn't work, I've got a spare link cable now. One of my Fanatec button modules on this wheel, actually, it's the thing in the center with the LED lights and the buttons, it actually just died. It quit connecting. I switched it between the two hubs to make sure it wasn't a hub issue, and the other one worked fine and this one did not, so I had to order a replacement one of those. It lasted about 3 years, so a little over 2 years. So I don't know if something shorted out or what. I know Fanatec has some quality issues occasionally. I'm not giving them a bad name, I like their stuff, but it did just die, so I had to get another one of those. You may have noticed my flight stick was in place here, and there are rudder pedals down there. I've always done some flight sim, but I'm really getting back into it now, and I'm flying DCS, which is Digital Combat Simulator. Software is free, it gives you a couple of planes, but I've bought an F-18 and some maps, and I'm really getting into it. So I bought a set of rudder pedals, which you don't use a lot while flying, but landing, taxiing, they're make it a lot easier than trying to use the twist motion on the stick, if you know anything about flight sims. I made a custom seat cushion. I know I mentioned seat cushion stuff before, and I love this seat. It's just the bolsters here, they're a little narrow for my body frame. You know, some skinny teenager, this is probably a great seat for. I'm a little wider, I'm older with age, and so those bolsters really dig into the sides of your hips, and so I've constantly been trying to add padding to raise the, because it's, I mean, the bolster's pretty high, you can see. So I've added different padding stuff. So I made this one. I bought a dog pad actually with memory foam. It's 4 inches thick. So basically I cut it down and modified the cover to fit, and it works really good. So I'm very satisfied with that. Again, not a major thing for the functionality of the rig, but just something I wanted to mention. I did have to get a new keyboard and mouse. My mouse, just kind of the left mouse button quit working, or was working sporadically. So I just got basically the same, pretty much the same model. This is 575, the M575 instead of the M570, which they've discontinued, but it's pretty much the same mouse. And the same exact keyboard, just replace it. The same thing, there was a sticky key that was working intermittently, so that's new. Looks the same, but it is new. The other thing you probably noticed back here is I put a table stand for my PC. This was the best thing I've done in a long time. I think I had the wheel cart previously. I thought I would be able to move it around and pull it out and do stuff, and it never did work right because of just cord limitations, things like that. But this gets it up. I can actually walk back here. I can get back here to do things all back in here where all the wires and connections are. So yeah, it makes life a whole lot easier. So glad I did that. Just had it a few weeks and already just absolutely love it. And it doesn't have any bars and things that interfere with the pedals or the motion. So it's basically a U, upside down U, that sits over the end of the rig. So it's perfect. As far as the PC goes, internally I replaced all of my SATA cables. I think I mentioned before I was having some issues with one of my hard drives. I never could narrow it down to anything, so just went ahead and replaced all of the SATA cables in case that was it. I haven't really seen anything negative since then, so I think that may have been it, so we'll see. With the new monitors and the length of things, I went ahead and bought extra long monitor cables so that just things would, because wrapping from all the way around here, all the way through and back over to the back side of the PC, you just don't want a tight connection, especially with motion, even though the monitor parts don't move. Just didn't want that to interfere with anything, so did that. Also replaced the little HDMI cable that goes into the 7-inch monitor. with a 10-foot cable as well for the same reason. You may have noticed, I replaced my USB hub that I had. I had 2 USB hubs daisy chained, which gave me a 10 port and a 7 port, which gave me 16 ports, because you lose one port when you daisy chain one into the other. So it was a 16 port total. So I replaced it with a new 16 port, just a single hub. That got rid of one of my power cables. And I just, trustworthiness, I think that makes it a little more trustworthy when you don't have stuff daisy chained into the computer. So, one thing over here is this little, it's just a USB extension cable that I ran back over here so that I can plug stuff in if I need to. If a memory stick, right now I have a wired keyboard plugged in, because anytime I have to do anything with BIOS, it doesn't recognize my wireless keyboard, and so I have to plug it in anyway. So I keep it inside this little console here, and so it's just the wires connected. So I always have a wired keyboard if I need it. May have noticed I had the MFDs mounted on a little arm similar to the way this monitor is mounted. So I moved those now that I'm back into flight sim a lot more heavily. I was able to mount them perfectly on each side of the DSD button box panels, and they fit perfectly. So I just have some little some good 3M two-sided tape there. Didn't screw anything in. I mean, there's not any room to screw anything into those MFDs because they're basically just the frame on the outside. The inside's just pictures, and it's hollow. So there's no connecting points, so just two-sided tape. And you may notice that number pad in the middle. That's literally a USB number pad that I have modified with a homemade bracket on the back side that will slide right onto where my steering wheel slides onto. So it's just foam rubber and gaff tape to make it a little sturdy and last as long as possible. And it just slides right on. And UFC is a upfront control. It's in fighter jets. It's always your little keypad where you program in waypoints and GPS coordinates, things like that. So that comes in real handy when I'm doing flight sim stuff. And you can see my flight stick there and my HOTAS here. So it just, again, from an earlier video, I get in the rig, move that in. So now I have my HOTAS and flight stick in place. And then I just swing this out of the way. I pull the flight stick out of that bracket right there. I put it over here for storage when I'm not using it. Take a wheel, plug it in. I even made a little place to mount the number keyboard when I'm not using it off to the side there. So everything is pretty modular and exchangeable, changing out pretty easy for anytime I want to do stuff. So the rudder pedals are quite narrow, as you can see, and I'm the kind of guy where holding my knees together for long periods of time are not comfortable. I mean, most guys, I think, like their knees kind of spread open naturally as they sit down. So even in racing, I have this trouble with long races. The brake pedal is very close to the gas pedal, and so I'm having to hold my knees together a lot. So I came up with this is actually like a knee brace strap, and I cut it down to size, and basically it's Velcro. And I'm not going to demonstrate it, but basically it's just a Velcro wide, elastic, comfortable strap. So basically I wrap that around my knees, Velcro it, and it helps hold my knees together. So, and it helps in flight sim and racing. So another little just trick that I've come up with to help things be very comfortable. And I know that sounds stupid for, but for long races or long flights, because usually when I get in here and sit down and get everything strapped in, I tend to stay for quite a while. So it does help comfort-wise. Well, I think that's it for the list. So hope you guys enjoyed this update. I think I say this every time. Right now, I have no plans to update anything, or obviously there will also always be, parts that die and need replacement. But at this point, I have no plans to make any new additions. Honestly, I don't have room, I don't think, for hardly anything else I could imagine. In the flight sim world, there are tons of, just like steering wheels and brakes and HOTASes, or gear shift and emergency brake things for driving. There are tons of nice hardware for combat flight sim stuff, but it's those things, they're big, they take up a lot of room. There's no way I could make it so that I could exchange things in and out. So there's some nice stuff out there, but I don't foresee that in the future for me. So again, hope everybody enjoyed this update, and if you have any questions, I will have my parts list listed down below as normal. If you have any questions or want to look up, you know, how to get these things, and I'll have, you know, brand names and the models and things like that. So enjoy. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. I knew there was something I was forgetting. You might have wondered what this red cable is. That is an eSATA port. And so one of my spare hard drives that I recently replaced, I wanted to just see, I had never used it, and I just wanted to see if it worked. And so supposedly this provides USB and power, or SATA connectivity and power, that you could just connect a SSD directly to. I was not able to get it to work that way, and I checked the internal connections inside this extended hub area, the way it connects internally. Power is connected, SATA port is connected. I still had to provide power directly to the SSD. Maybe this was created before SSDs required more power, I'm not sure. And so because it's connected to power, the SSD is inside, and so I just ran it inside like this. Just that gives me an extra hard drive. I know I could have done it all internally, but I wanted to make it sure, see if the port actually worked, and it does. So I just wanted to explain what that was. And then also, you may have noticed I have these little book reading light, USB pen light things that I use a lot when I'm trying to see something down there dark and connectivity wise that I don't have light for. Right now there's plenty of light because it's daytime, but in the evenings when the sun goes down, it can be pretty dark back there. So they're just pen lights. Turn them on by touching them. They provide a little extra layer of light down there for me to get to and work on things. So I just kind of mounted them permanently, semi-permanently, using some gaff tape, which is my best friend other than Velcro, and connected to a USB port there. And then this is another, just my little flash drive that I use for portability stuff. So just wanted to explain what that red line was in case anyone was wondering.